What's up, guys? Welcome back to Cool Fred's Garage. This Cool Fred here. I'm still working on this 1973 Chevy Impala, so I'm about to talk about some of the things that I got going on with it. So I'm in the middle of the wiring project still, but I do got the fuse block and most of the wiring out. So I'm gonna talk about a little bit about what I'm gonna do today. And but yeah, the channel just recently hit over 500 subscribers. So shout out to all you guys who checking out the content and liking the videos and all that good stuff and subscribing to the channel. So today I'm gonna talk a little bit about the old harness, and then I'm gonna talk about, I still got the tail light harness to get out of it. But as you're going along on this, looking at the new Painless kit, because that's basically what I'm doing for you guys who are new to the channel, is I'm rewiring my 1973 Chevy Impala right here. So I'm putting in a universal Painless kit. So I got some of that stuff over here on my workbench. I'm gonna talk about that in a little bit. And then I'm gonna talk about some of the things that I noticed, and maybe I'll just kind of briefly talk about a couple of reasons why I'm doing the wiring in the first place. All right, so on the floor here is some of the old wiring. So basically it looks like a cluster of things, but this right here is the main. We got the main fuse block right here, and then this over here is the gauge and like dash. So basically, I guess they refer to this as the instrument panel or the gauges wiring harness, or anything basically under the gauge, under the dash cap, or under the dash, or in the dash rather, as far as gauges. You got your, this was a cigarette lighter supply there, and you had your lights wires for, so I labeled this one, so this is one of the dash lights for the shifter. And then there was another one over here for the AC panel. So basically all your lights and wiring and things like that. Also this is the headlight switch that's in there, the wiper switch, and like your alternator charging and all that stuff was in there. And then this right here is the main power box here. So this right here is the old glass fuse box that was in the car. This right here is the headlight dimmer switch, the floor mounted switch. This goes over to the parking brake. So this right here was for the AC. And then, you know, you got basically, it goes over kind of around the dash to the steering column area. This is like the steering column switch connects to that. But I noticed a few things with that. So you do get this connector housing. They actually give you two connector housings, and I kind of see why they do that now. So this right here is the new Painless wiring kit right here. So it's got some modern style, newer style, GM style type of fuse block with the what do they call those? Not the ATM, but basically I guess the blade type fuses versus the glass type fuses. So these style right here, those can be very kind of problematic, but that's what they had back in the prior to the late 70s. So most all the cars in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and before the beginning of time, had the glass style fuses. So the kit that I'm gonna be installing, this right here, they refer to it, I'm not sure really what those bottom part numbers are, but they normally go by the one that say PN dash, so that means part number, the 10201, which is it's basically like a universal column, 28 circuits, and it's for a GM keyed ignition. And then depending on what your application is in the universal route, they got different numbers here. So this is pretty much the install manual that came with it. And basically, like, this manual kind of tells you how to install like all of the harnesses listed right here. So pretty much what I do, like, this book, it gives a little bit of an introduction, but it kind of, the way the book is laid out is, once you start reading it, it's basically like, once you get everything mapped out, you get the new fuse block mounted, which, to be honest with you, like, they give you this template here. So pretty much I'm gonna be able to mount that that right there based on that, since it's based on the GM fuse blocks. The sun is kind of, but you see that hole that we got in the firewall there. So that's where the original bulkhead came through. So I gotta make a block off to fill that hole, because all of my wires are going to be passing through a grommet. So they do make kits where you do have where you can retain the bulkhead and stuff, but those kits cost a little bit more money. So I did match it up, but the two mounting holes here, you guys may not be able to see it because the way the sun's glaring, but yeah, there's like one right here and then one down there. So basically, by me matching it up, the fuse block is going to be able to fit in the same, like these two mounting bolts. So basically, you just take the bolts out, and they got some longer screws in the package here, right here. So and pretty much, I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but I'm just trying to just explain some of the things I noticed. So basically, somewhere after a period of time, I don't know if it was in the 80s or the early 90s, GM basically, for the turn signal or the steering column connector, like before your lights and stuff go. So that's why they give you these two here, because these are the most common two. This right here is the early style right here. So I'm trying to debate right now whether I'm gonna retain this one, or am I gonna switch it over to this newer style here. The reason I'm saying it, I'm gonna show you guys in a minute. All right, so you can see right here on the original harness here that this is the so basically, cars in the early 70s or prior had this style right here, which will be this connector right here. So I can just make the wire pins and put in here or here. But the reason I'm talking about that is because now I did replace this steering column switch here. So it's got a Duralast unit in there. So the sun just got a lot of glare because I did roll the car forward so I can be able to get to some stuff in the back, because this is an Impala and it's a pretty long car. And you know, you got a house with a decent sized garage. It does fit in the garage, but you know, it's a real tight fit. Car barely fits in the garage. But so this right here is the wiring, the steering column wiring harness. And what I'm kind of pointing out here is they give you this, basically this jumper splice here. So most of the aftermarket turn signal switches, they give you this jumper splice here to basically match that old style connector that came with the car to this right here. But I'm wondering, like, if I trace these wires, because basically they just go here. They just go to, but another thing is, this thing is, in a lot of cases, they are, the other side of the harness, they have alphabets on them. So they're like A through P or something like that. But it is a way that you can kind of trace them down figure out which one goes where. But so I don't know if I just need to just wire this connector in, because in some cases these things it did slide apart. That's why I have a zip tie right here, and this will cause like a connection issue and stuff like that. But another thing I noticed is, so pretty much on this vehicle right here, I had a problem with the brake circuit. The brake and the four-way flasher circuit, and I'm gonna show you so far what I found. And in some of the previous videos I talked about how some of this wiring is kind of it's 50 years old. Not this piece right here that I'm touching, but something you can kind of tell. You can tell that harness there is something still got kind of hot and overheated. I forgot what this white wire, I'm not sure if that's like the reverse. I have to trace that down to see what that white wire is though. So I'm gonna have to like either warranty out this turn signal switch. So basically it's like the round thing that's behind here. It's a plastic thing. It's for your turn signal, switching them on and off and things like that. So I am gonna have to probably warranty that out, because I do see that whatever happened in the circuit, which I found some of the problems, and I'm gonna show you guys in a second. And another thing, it's probably hard to see, but there's like a little bit of some, like this wire here, like you can tell it got hot and it started to kind of like melt the insulation of the wire and the plastic. So I just looked at this and found this morning, because I was basically matching up this kind of connector here. So I'm wondering if I just use this piece right here and I can just wire straight to that, because this right here, it sits over on the column, but that's how it kind of looks, and you got to kind of tuck this out of the way. But this white part here is able to fit on the column too, but you have to use this newer style connector, because they use the updated connectors with this switch unit, and these wires run down along the steering column and then out of the bottom there. All right, so the other thing that sucks is for some reason they don't give you any of these connectors for the steering column. I'm not sure if this kit just didn't have them, they put it in there, but they have these other connectors here, the 56 series style, which are for most of your headlight pigtails. This will cover like the dimmer switch and stuff like that, so you can just unpin certain connectors and be able to wire it up. So now for the headlight switch, I did go ahead and purchase this ahead of time. I probably, this right here is from American Auto Wire. So it's a GM style headlight connector kit. So I've had this for a while. So it's got all your terminals and stuff in there, and you can it even got a wire diagram in there. So but for the turn signal connector, usually it'll be a kit that'll come with these two connectors right here, and then it'll come with they call these like GM PACCON, but basically the connector kind of looks like that, and it's got the little lock tang, and you'll use these style crimping pliers right here to crimp those together, so, and make your own wire. So these right here are the male ends of that wire. So I've had to make some repairs, to the light harnesses and stuff like that. So basically this is how you do it. You'll get these pins right here that are individual. So and I think these are from American Auto Wire. I haven't I probably ordered these offline, but they kind of seem similar to some American Auto Wire. But these right here from Pico, they sell these in sets of 5. So this is the female GMN. So they refer to these as the PACCON connector. But they do have them, like on this car, they're in the tail light harness in the back, the little connector, the quick disconnect connector. So it looks like I think I need 9 of these to repair what I need to repair. So instead of order, they do sell a couple kits. A lot of places sell them. Jegs has a kit. It basically has these, and it has male and female connectors. American Auto Wire has a kit. They run somewhere between 20 and 30 bucks. But since I already got those, and I have some of these left over, I think I barely just have enough to get it wired up. But instead of, I'm gonna use this first, because you know, sometimes I have a lot of extra supplies and stuff left over from where I did a previous repair. So I'm gonna make use of these right here before I order more stuff. And then if I do need to order something, I can just order a smaller. I think these are like $6 for a pack of 5 of these. So yeah, but there's some stuff in this kit. Like, you know, it comes with most everything you need, but you're gonna realize that there are certain connections and stuff you still got to order and get and stuff like that. But it has mostly everything in here to get you up and running. So this is my first time installing or rewiring a complete vehicle. But due to my experience in the automotive industry, you know, I have learned a lot about electrical, how circuits work, and things like that. So, but they kind of make this kit so you can do it yourself, but you do still need to understand basic electrical and things like that, like power, ground, amps, and, you know, just how different circuits work, like electrical. So you have to be somewhat kind of good in electrical. But, you know, if you're still learning this, you know, the only thing to it is just to do it, basically. But you know, it kind of helps that you have some type of electrical experience or background. So I pretty much just said that to say this, like, this video series here, but I'm basically just kind of showing you guys the journey of, you know, just me rewiring this car. You know, so I'm kind of learning and getting some of the, you know, the experience in and stuff like that. Like I've put stuff in here like the coded digital, all that stuff. So I've been doing little wiring work here and there, and I think in some of my other videos, like over the years, you know, I've invested in the tools, like the wire crimpers and the like doing the insulated terminals and stuff like that. So it's if you're gonna add on and repair your wiring and stuff, it's like tools and things that you need to get to do a professional job, so you don't have a whole bunch of stuff coming apart on you. So as I go along, I will kind of, like I said, this is pretty much going to be like an overview and just showing y'all the journey of me getting this car rewired. So it may be a little bit of a how-to, but it's mostly just showing you guys the process of me going through it. Because I'm just not, you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is I can do this job like a professional, but this is not all I do day to day. I work on cars in general, and I know a lot about cars and stuff like that. But this is mostly a hobby vehicle for me. It's a hobby, you know, a classic car that, you know, just been playing around with building over the course of 20 plus years. So I mentioned another video about that auxiliary harness that I had over there that I'm taking out. That's another Painless. So you guys kind of see, I got most of the wiring out, but it's still, I'm going to talk about the taillight harness that I got to rip out of here in the next video. And then I got the under hood stuff that, so basically this harness is in 4 sections. But before I end this video, because I'm pretty much about to run out of space here, on my memory card. So I'm gonna talk about what I found with this over here. So I mentioned that I had an issue with the tail light, the tail lights and the four-way signals, and we saw on that turn signal connector, which the brake lights and turn signals kind of go through there too. You can see right here where I've repaired some things on this harness here, you know, which is, this is like little stuff that you will do to kind of get yourself by. All right, so this will be one of the reasons why in an older car that you need to replace your wires. So I guess in the process of me taking this out, this brown wire here in this harness is labeled as K, but the brown wire is like for the brake and the four-way. But basically that wire just split in half there. So a lot of times what'll happen is, like, basically you can see like in some areas where this is not all that flexible. So a lot of times what happens, these wires get hot and they will just split and break. And then there are some cases where some of them, like you see, I'll try to get my camera zoom in to the sun. But basically, you'll see where you start to get these little splits and strays and stuff like that. So that's just basically the harness, the insulation cracking and breaking down. So wires can touch together, they can get shorted together, and you can just have all kind of problems. So that's pretty much the main reason I'm rewiring the car. What's up, guys? This is Fred. So I'm back with a update about the Painless kit. So just so I don't say anything in my videos that's misleading. So when I was talking about the kit, as I was, pretty much this video was about why you need to rewire your car, showing you guys some of the problems with the wiring and stuff like that, like broken wires, bad shorts, chafed wires and stuff like that. And then if you have a problem in one area, how you may have a problem in another area. But as I was briefly kind of, getting the Painless kit out of the box, I was talking about the steering column area and how, I didn't see the terminals and stuff like that for the steering column. But I'm gonna show you guys that. So it turns out that the kit actually has everything that you need in the box for, if you pick this model, which I'll show the part number again. If you pick this model, if that's for a GM key column, it has everything in the box. I'm gonna talk about that in a little bit. So this is about 3 months down the line. So I haven't installed the kit yet, but I've test fitted a few times and had to rearrange the harness. You'll see some of that stuff in the upcoming videos, but the reason for me coming back, adding this to the end, I just want to clarify that. And I'll also give you a little bit of a sneak peek about, what I figured out as far as how the wires are going to go through the firewall and things like that. All right, so the particular kit that we're talking about is this one right here. Same part number I mentioned earlier is the, they typically go by that 10201 number. So this is the 28 circuit GM key column from Painless. This is that kit, and that's it in the box. So it probably looks a little different because I've unbundled it, and you'll see where I do a couple little testing. I did put it in the car, kind of test fit it to see where it's going to fit and stuff like that. So I've already done that, and I've had to kind of unbundle it, cut some of these zip ties away so that it'll kind of route and fall a certain way in the car, because the way they have it from the factory is where these wires kind of come straight to the bottom down towards the firewall. So you'll see me talk about some of that stuff in some of the other videos, but what I want to show you guys right here is this right here. So basically, as you unravel and get your harness kind of separated, which I've already done that, you got your different sections for the front, the back, the engine compartment, and the rear of the vehicle. So what I ended up doing, I just cut. Well, I did not cut, but it had a wire tie right here that I just did to unravel this, because I had it kind of sitting like that. That way I can store it away in the box and put it away. But basically, you see these zip ties and stuff. So I've got these are like 2 or 3. This is like 3 sections right here They go probably for like the gauges and the under dash stuff. So pretty much what I was getting at. So this kit, I just want to let you know that like your ignition, like everything that goes to your ignition switch on the GM column is already predetermined or pre-terminated. So you got your connectors and you got it's pretty much just plug and play. So all you got to do is just basically double check and compare the wires, whether you want to use the manual up here, which I have it. So whether you want to use that, you just pretty much go through there and you just kind of just double check and just say, yeah, this goes here, and you can plug it in. And the other thing is, so this right here would be the steering column. So this is basically that connector that I was talking about, which would be these here for the steering column. So over the years they did they kept the same steering column switch for a lot of like cars and trucks and stuff, but they did have some updates or like a supersession in the part. So they started, this is like the original style connector here that I spoke about earlier, but then this right here is the later style GM column connector housing that they would use. So if you use this housing right here, you would need to have a jumper wire, which would be this right here, that would come in and basically make the right connections from this over to your factory one inside the car. So I mentioned before that, I did not see where they included these style connectors, but they're in fact here. So they are a part of the harness. They were just kind of buried in there where I couldn't see it, but they're in the turn signal section and where the neutral safety switch and all that stuff is. So I think it's about 6 to 7 wires here. So you can see that they're here, but you do got to go through the instructions and basically put them in the housing that you want to use for your steering column. So I talked a little about the steering column switch and how I found a burnt wire on there. So what I'm going to try to do is try to find I'm going to try to see if I can find either original style steering column switch, the part that goes in the steering column. I got the column out of the car right now. It's kind of buried up under that stuff over there. So I could take care of the stuff up under the firewall there. But I'm gonna either do that or I'm gonna figure out something with this jumper. So basically I can use, I guess, this section here, so I don't have to use this little extra jumper. That way the wires go straight. The wires coming from the steering column switch, basically, because this right here can sit on the column. So it'll make it a little bit more neater of an installation, because this little jumper pack here, it kind of don't look good. And I think they have a little problems with the connections, because you saw on the setup where I had to put a zip tie here so it can stay together, because this kind of would come apart every now and again from the connection that was like right here and cause issues, in the car. But just wanted to show you guys that real quick. So this kit has everything in it that you're going to need to get your car rewired. The thing is, I mentioned that I did purchase this headlight socket kit that I plan on using. You can reuse your other socket. It does come with some 56 series connectors, but the Painless kit also has a bunch of these style connectors in this bag here. So, but basically, if you just want a new socket and be able to kind of, have the insurance that, I got, a new socket that is going to lock in, plug in good like I want to. And then you also get, this right here is from American Auto Wire. That's the part number right there. So you can find this on Amazon. You can look it up online or whatever. And it got that, and it also has like a little bit of a wire diagram in there too to help you out. And then you still have some wiring information in the book there. And then I also got the factory wiring manual for this car. So between those three things, I can figure out, what's going on. So, all right. So the other thing that I wanted to point out is, the car is not back together yet. So basically, if I was just doing the wiring, I would have had the car back together. But I got other stuff that I'm working on while the car is apart, because I got the carpet out. I'm behind the dash, so I haven't even tackled the AC heater box and all that stuff, because I want to fix some other things first, and then I'll have room to kind of pull that stuff back and put over here, and then I can go behind there. And then also mentioned that I'm gonna rewire the wires that go through for the AC control panel. So those wires come from the AC control panel and will go through that grommet right there over to the AC box. So I do have some spare wires and stuff like that. So basically all the wirings for the major systems will be rewired. So you see, I got a bunch of stuff kind of taken apart. It's not necessarily to take all of this stuff down this far to do just the simple wire job, but I have some stuff that I want to paint up and make nicer and neater and stuff like that. But just to show you guys the what I came with the firewall area here. So you hear me talk about that in a few videos, but this is kind of what I kind of came up with. So the grommet is basically going to go here and the wires are going to come out. I do have a couple little pictures that I attached to the video so you can see that. Thank you guys again for checking out Cool Fred's Garage. So if you like anything on these classic series set of videos that I do from time to time, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. So I try to show coming apart. I know classic cars and repairing them is something that's kind of it's on the rise, and it's something, even though it is 2025, it is something a lot of people desire. And there are some younger people that's starting to get some of these cars, even though it may not be a 73 Impala. It may be, even rare car. It could be a popular car like a Camaro or a Monte Carlo or something like that. But a lot of the fundamentals, like the wiring and stuff like that, is kind of the same. So I took some time out to kind of show me getting the wiring like out of the car. So basically this series right here is just showing the journey of me taking this thing apart and kind of putting it back together. And so the main thing is the wiring harness and stuff like that. But while I got the car this far apart, am gonna take care of some other things that I desire to do. And y'all see the outcomes of that, as I get done with the project. And then I will, as I go back in with the wiring. I've already test fitted and stuff in some of the later videos. You'll see that stuff a little bit down the line. But if you like this kind of content, because it is probably very rare content, a lot of people are probably not doing this type of content. I know it's probably a little bit more involved and in depth, but you will see, some of the major guys that are, advertising the kits and stuff. They will go through and show you things, as the selling point to sell the kit. But for some of you guys that may be having to tackle this on your own, because truth be told, you're gonna have to pay a shop at a minimum. It's gonna cost you at least $2,000 to probably rewire a car, and that's just a starting point. I mean, it can cost probably two or $3,000 to do this type of repair right here, because they got to take the car apart and do this and that, and then depending on what kind of other custom things you have in there, what I'm saying, they'll have to go in and modify this and that. So if you have something more custom, like aftermarket gauges, this, that, and the other, or if you got the factory gauges, they have to make that stuff work with the universal kit and stuff like that. So, I mean, this content right here is pretty much to help, some of you guys. Some people already know how to do this, but, it's kind of more like it's a secret or something, you know what I'm saying? They're not gonna, expose some of the major ins and outs. So I'll try to talk about some of the, the major stuff as it kind of comes up. But, a lot of it's not that bad, once you get into it, but you do need to learn to understand electrical and things like that. But so if you guys like the content, like the video, subscribe to the channel, all of that good stuff. So I'm starting to get caught up on some of the videos on this car, because you're probably seen maybe some of my other videos come out from like me working on my truck and stuff like that. So those are, on my channel at the moment, the more popular videos. I see that there's a lot of classic car content on there, but the classic content, like on this car or whatever, I think is valuable stuff, and it's stuff that can be applied to a lot of classic cars, especially if you got something that's kind of rare. So I've done a rear disc brake conversion on this car. I've done telling you about like the disassembly and things like that, and some things, because there are some things that has to be customly modified for this particular car to get the disc brakes and stuff like that on there. So as far as the wiring, that's something that's pretty much, you can apply to any vehicle and stuff like that. But there is some one-off stuff when it comes to this particular car. But this is a B-body platform in the 1970s. So a lot of the Oldsmobile, the big Oldsmobile, the Buick Electras, and the Oldsmobile 98s, and even some of the Cadillac Fleetwoods, even though they may have a little bit more intricate electrical, because they had like electronic AC, cruise control, and a whole bunch of stuff like that, But if you guys like this type of content, share it with a friend, like the video, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. So thank you for checking out Cool Fred's Garage. We'll catch you on the next video.